Hi, everyone. We have with us Mr. Shubhajit Roy. Mr. Shubhajit Roy is a technology consultant and advisor. He has been the CIO of SBI Funds Management for over 14 years. He is an expert in technology and digital strategy for business product development, cybersecurity consultancy, and training. Welcome, Mr. Roy. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in this program, and thank you for inviting me.
So, Mr. Roy, I would say we've been fortunate enough to have your inputs and, in form of content asset, blogs on CXO Digital Pulse. And in continuation to that, I'd like to pose my first question to you. While the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of digital transformation, it has, at the same time highlighted the vulnerabilities and unpreparedness of organizations with regards to cybersecurity. So according to you, how important do you think is cybersecurity for an organization? Or in simpler terms, how does cybersecurity bring in agility and intelligence within organizations?
Okay, very good question. So first, before we go to the your actual question, what's the changes we are seeing in the organization post maybe pandemic, post digital era, and post high number of cyber incidents or attacks. So we should slightly go back to the history and background. So basically, if you look at it, a couple of things happened together which were not very planned. One is this COVID-19, which was totally unplanned and black swan event, which was not known or not forecast by anybody. And that resulted into various actions and various involuntary or voluntary actions. So one of the things which resulted through the COVID and pandemic and lockdown is two things happened. One is the acceleration of digitalization of various companies, especially who are dealing with the customers, either in public services or in various private services. So that speed of digitalization started a few years back, but this pandemic has accentuated or accelerated the speed of digitalization. So that's the one factor you must understand. And second is that working environment, the place of work, the style of work. So work from home or hybrid model. So that is again a shift. So these two things or three things happened together: pandemic, acceleration of digital journey of various companies or individually or professionally or in the enterprise level, and the working style or the place of work. So all these things actually resulted into a high degree of information security or cyber security incidents, not only in India, but globally. So that is the basic background, right? So the speed of digitalization has really accentuated this kind of a cyber attack. But at the same time, so two things happened. Most of the companies went for digital journey, both for internal as well as external systems, especially customer-facing systems. But most of the companies were not prepared to have a very comprehensive security posture plan to combat this type of new type of vulnerabilities or risks which came across or associated with this rapid digital expansion. So that's the thing we should understand. So you see there's a huge spike in number of cybersecurity incidents. Especially you see the phishing attacks, insider attacks, credentials of users, especially privileged users being stolen, ransomware attacks. Those have increased in a many-fold across the globe, and also in India. India is not an exception. And then also, as you say, work from home, which happened very suddenly. Most of us were not prepared. So operationally, it was smooth, but actually, if we look back, it was not a cyber safe kind of environment. Most of the office environment was prepared to make you safe, but due to various factors, which I can illustrate later. So in one word, this working environment, working from home, was not very cyber safe. and the entire concept of what you call in the security parlance, that perimeter security. So entire perimeter actually got changed. The traditional perimeter got vanished. So the perimeter of security that doesn't exist today. So these are all the factors which resulted into the high incidence of information security or cyber security. So with this in background, most of the companies had to react in various forms. Some companies reacted in a more maybe proactive manner, and most of the companies acted in a after things happened. Okay, so one of the things, so there are some positive things happened, as you said. Now, what are the positive changes? So something happened due to this kind of enhanced security threat with the advent of digitalization in general. So there are something happened positively, which are towards a higher cyber security level. So one of the basic first thing happened, that awareness among the normal people on the street, enterprise employees, senior management, board members. So this awareness about the threat or seriousness of cyber security, information security, that has increased among all the stakeholders. Second is that at the board level, if you look at cyber security or information security, ultimately it is said the board of the company is responsible for any breach, any data breach or any other kind of serious cyber security incident happen. Ultimately, board is responsible. So all along now, last 3 years, most of the companies, board and the board members, they have become very much aware of the happenings in the cyber world, and they are showing their awareness and also their concern. And so that is another thing happened. So this resulted into higher level of governance of the information security or cyber security at the company level. So that has increased because of increased focus and increased awareness. And obviously there are rules and regulations are coming into play. So especially in the financial sector, where two major regulators are RBI and SEBI. So they have also, if you look at from 2018-19, they took cyber security, information security kind of stuff more seriously, and they felt it as one of the core issues in terms of safeguarding the critical financial infrastructure as well as customer interest. So they came out with very regular updates, circular directives, guidelines to the regulated bodies. So this is another positive thing happening. And also at the employee level, information security team, CISO, and all the employees have been now regularly trained, made aware of the various cyber and information security threats, challenges, vulnerabilities, and what they should do and how they should react in case of any incident. And the last but not the least, overall, the information security team in each of the organizations, they have been strengthened. Earlier, it was less priority for most of the organizations, most of the priorities of the business side. So due to so many factors and so many concerns, information security team have been scaled and number of people have been increased. The focus has become much more now. But all said and done, still there are a lot of work remains to be done, because as you know, this entire cyber security, information security is a always work in progress. There is no end to this, because always there are new threats, new challenges. Every day, new challenges, new threats will come. So the team, the company with respect to cyber security has also act or react in a very fast manner. So there's always work in progress. So there are a lot of things to be done. One of the bigger things need to be done better, which I'll talk later. Monitoring, improved monitoring is required. In the development side, we require to implement DevSecOps, that is development, security, and operations. All three together need to work together. So this is a new terminology which has come after DevOps, DevSecOps. so that all three, development team, security team, and operations team who are implementing or making the application production, they need to work together. And the 24/7 monitoring at the various level, at the gateway level, at the perimeter level, at the end user level, at the global level. So security is operations center. So they are becoming more and more important. So these are the few overall things we have seen in last maybe couple of years post-pandemic.
Okay, very brilliantly put, sir. I think this has also answered my second question, which was supposed to be on what changes organizations are making to combat cybercrime. So, but still, if you want something to,
I can highlight some other things which I may not have covered in that. So as you said, there's obviously issue is becoming very, very real and serious. So some of the statistics, if I can quote, because statistics always helps to get to know the actual quantum of seriousness and the kind of threat we are dealing with. So I will try to highlight some of the statistics from either from research or survey or from the authorities.
Yes.
First, I'd like to highlight CERT-In. CERT-In is the computer emergency response team, which is India, which is the basically nodal agency in India who are today monitoring and checking the entire cyber security, information security for the entire country. So as per CERT-In report, we had 11.5 lakh, you just mind it, 11.5 lakh security incidents only in the year 2021, which were reported and tracked by CERT-In. Okay, so you can imagine the kind of increase it is happening. And obviously, maybe 22 number will go up. Also, second statistic I'd like to highlight, ransomware, because that has become very, very prevalent everywhere. Many times we don't report. Globally, you can see a lot of ransomware attacks which are reported very frequently every month. So in India also, there have been 120% jump or increase in ransomware incidents between from 2019 to 2020. Okay, so two attacks are becoming more sophisticated, more prevalent. One is the phishing attacks, that is through a social engineering and various new forms of phishing, and ransomware. These two are becoming more prevalent and more sophisticated. So most of the people, companies are really struggling to really prevent phishing and ransomware attacks. Okay. Then second question is the work from home and hybrid model of working, which currently a lot of companies are still pursuing. So concept of, as I told you, the perimeter has vanished now. So now it's question of identity, who you are as a user, employee, or as a customer, and the machine from which, either from laptop, desktop, mobile. So identity of person, user, and identity of the machines. These two are becoming critical. So because the perimeter doesn't exist today, anybody can come in from anywhere of the globe. So as a security professional, you should know who is the user and what is the machine. So you should be able to first identify and authorize, authenticate, then only you should allow that person or that machine to come into your network. Second is that, third is the credential. So now there's a lot of attack is happening, which is called with credential stuffing. So people, it's easy to get user ID, password from the dark web or the other media, because most of the people use very common passwords. So that's credential stuffing is a big threat of attack. Another factor which is of late, due to especially with pandemic and work from home, which everybody is talking, is an insider threat. Either insider because of negligent insider, because he is not aware, he is or she not aware, or there's a malicious insider, employee, or contractor, or ex-employees. So they are trying to attack your network, either directly by the malicious activity, or because of negligence, they are sharing their credentials, or their credentials are stolen by the hackers. So this insider threat is becoming 22% of incidents, as per the statistics of the total incidents, security incidents, 22% are due to insider threats or insider attacks. But here only good news is that only 14% of the total this insider attacks are happening due to malicious attackers. But rest of the majority are happening due to negligent users. Okay. And one is the big issue we are seeing on the financial sector, banking, other financial, is a threat, fraud, customer fraud. A lot of hackers, a lot of groups are planning and doing a lot of sophisticated social engineering, other kind of attacks to fraud customers who are very gullible, or they are senior, or they are not tech savvy, or they don't, or they provide a lot of other kind of incentive which people are fall prey to their incentives. So this customer fraud is happening on the digital channel very frequently. So these are the various statistics we can see. Okay. So these statistics we can see that. So now what question is, what companies are able to do, what we can do to combat this kind of high rate of cyber attacks. So a lot of companies today are putting a lot of practices, framework around people, process, technology. That is one part. Then, as I told you, board is becoming conscious and they are becoming very concerned. They are giving a lot of directives. And then we have a 24/7 kind of monitoring is happening through Security Operations Center. Okay. And also there are companies that are putting 3 levels of defense, right? First level is that normal internal or check or the management control. Second level maybe through risk management, security, compliance, and third level through internal audit. And also on top of that, there are external regulators audit on external audits. So these are the things a lot of companies have started practices around processes, people, and technology to safeguard and enhance their security posture.
Very rightly said, sir. And as you were saying that, we are heading towards a more mature cyberspace, which is full of challenges. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges that companies are facing in their journey towards, making the ecosystem more secure?
Yeah, as I told you, so there are 2 aspects. One is the challenges. The challenges have resulted due to one thing, that rapid digitalization, because every company today wants to digitalize their, especially the customer facing, to increase their business, get their growth more or larger market share. So that's why online and digital platforms are really become very predominant. So that is the one side of business demand. But at the same time, so rapid growth of digital online platform is creating a lot of risk and vulnerabilities for the company, and as well as the first customers, which are not known at the beginning, because people are going gung-ho about the growth. How do I sell my products to the world through online digital? But if you look back, so this is creating a lot of new kind of risk at the micro level, macro level, at the company level, at the country level. So we have to have a balance between these two, right? So that is the primary function of CISO and the security team, and also the board, to understand what is the right balance so that nothing is compromised. Because if your data is compromised or your company's network is compromised, once you are breached, then you have a huge loss in terms of monetary loss as well as reputation loss. So that is the obligation or duty of the board and the security team led by the CISO to ensure that business is not disrupted, but undue risk should not be taken. All the risks should be covered before you go to the market. So as I told you, there's no perimeter now. So every perimeter has gone. Now every individual, every machine has to be authenticated by IT, information security, so that it is secured. And now surveillance. We have to have a always on kind of surveillance, 24/7 surveillance, and real-time surveillance and real-time risk assessment for any possible, because there are always there's a one saying, this attackers need to succeed only once. So as an attacker, I am trying every day, every week, every month, but I need to succeed only once to penetrate into the corporate network and then do a lot of malicious things. But as a defender, the information security team or the company, they have to succeed every time, 100 out of 100, to stop that attacker. So that's the crux of the problem. So attacker needs to succeed once, but as a defender, you need to succeed every time. Once you have failed, you are breached. So that's the critical thing we need to understand. And obviously in the financial sector, financial fraud, which is becoming very, very prevalent. So a lot of customers are losing money. So how the regulators' duty is to how to protect the customer interest. So that is a more and more difficult task. And new stuff is coming, what is still not there in totality, is we call it data protection or data privacy, because there's a bill which is still pending in front of Parliament, data protection bill, which is not yet passed. Still debate is going on. So I don't know, last 2 years, I think it's going on. So once that bill is becoming act, there may be huge changes with respect to data and data protection, data privacy. So these are the challenges and these are the things which I think most of the companies, not only at company level, at the country level or internationally, different bodies of international bodies also are struggling to really protect the data, the system, the infrastructure, financial infrastructure, because all today, globally, all financial systems are interrelated because of networking and other various factors. So if you look at recently, the CERT-In has come out with a directive in the end of April that everybody needs to report to CERT-In any security incident within 6 hours of the incident happening. And there are a lot of other directives passed by CERT-In in end of April. So which are still debated how feasible to really follow or practice those guidelines or a directive given by CERT-In.
Very precisely put. And taking a step ahead, I would want to know that organizations are often hesitant to invest in cybersecurity. So in your opinion, how should technology adoption in cybersecurity be facilitated to balance outcomes, innovation, and fiscal prudence?
Mm-hmm. So as I told you, there are two levels. One at the ground level. So earlier the awareness was very limited in the technology community. So because of huge pressure to develop some digital application, mobile apps very fast, so entire development community started developing and delivering and going into production. So that is one side. So now people are being made aware, companies are putting policies, procedures, framework, how to make entire development process more secure. So secure development policies are being practiced and followed now. So that is one thing. And then second is that how coding is to be done more securely. So that is, so now the focus is shift left. You start security as a practice, make it embed into your development practice. Earlier development team was different and they were not aware of security, how to make do the coding better in a secured way. So now a lot of training is being imparted, a lot of tools have come into play. So the concept is shift left, means you embed your information security into your development process from day one. Because earlier security was the afterthought. After we develop something, after we put it out in the public domain, then we see that a lot of incidents are happening or threats are happening. Then we try to do the vulnerability assessment and threat assessment and then do the patch up. Now that can't work in the current scenario. So that's why security has to be embedded into your development process. So that change is happening. Second change is happening in the governance, as I told you, at the board level, at the senior management level, to the CISO level. So this entire governance structure, practices, so those are being really implemented. But at the end of the day, there's a question or debate between, as I told you, business, there's always a conflict between business and information security. Because business, their goal is to how to increase business, how to increase the revenue, how to increase the profitability. So most of the business people, especially after pandemic, want to develop digital platforms for their businesses. So that's a huge pressure. But at the same time, because they are not too much bothered what is information security, what is a threat. But so now that is the job of the management and information security team to make this alignment between business, technology, and infosec. So that is happening, but happening slowly. So that's why budget, obviously, budget is not a problem as such in most of the companies, because today, due to this high incidence of security threats, cyber security incident threat, obviously companies need to spend much more what they used to spend 5 years back. So companies are spending on technology, but just pure spending on technology is not going to suffice or not going to protect you. So your spending should be prudent. The person who are spending, the technology team, InfoSec, they should do due diligence before spending, whether the technology I'm selecting, I'm implementing, whether they are right fit for you for a long time to come, and then only they should spend. It should not be just an ad hoc reaction. So it should be prudent spending, keeping in mind the entire landscape of your company or the industry or the global landscape. You should spend on technology, but technology spending itself is not going to solve your problem. So there are other components we need to take care. That is a process and people. So these two are more important, because you can spend money, because company who have large pool of money, you can spend, but that doesn't change the people, because people skill is very important, which are lacking today. Because the huge deficit of information security, cyber security skill. So you cannot overnight increase the skills of people. Then the practices, culture, attitude of people, that you cannot change. So people issue is more important. So you need to take care of people issue, culture issue, and obviously you should be spending money on technology, information security technology, but it should be much prudent manner. It should not be so. So it is a question of the board is asking them if you ask some approval for monetary approval or project sanction. Obviously, board today, what's the benefit? What is the difference it will make? So board is asking the right question and putting more pressure on the information security and CISO team. So that's happening. So that process is an ongoing process. So that's happening in most of the companies. I think if most of the companies are right track because of this changes. But yeah, so I think the prudent spending is one of the major things we should look into.
Very rightly said. I think, like you said, that the culture has to be embedded from the beginning itself, and cybersecurity is essentially a very inevitable. It cannot be ignored. It's right. A very important, vital component of any business strategy. So my last question, sir, would be a very quick and crisp one. What, according to you, are some of the trends that in cybersecurity to watch out for in the coming years, and why? Why do you think they are the important trends?
See, there are two things. One is the trend from the, if you look from the enterprise. So what are the threats? What are the likely threats which are coming into picture now and in near future? So that is the one trend. What are the new kind of threats or attacks which are likely? And second is that to combat or counter those threats, what I should do. So I feel these are two trends. Both trends are important. So first, if we can talk about what's happening on the cyber threat side. So that's, and then we need to see how to combat that, what kind of trends are approaching. So first, as I told you, phishing. phishing is becoming very, very predominant. And in this current year or in the future, the level of sophistication of phishing attack or social engineering attacks, that is going to increase. So that is because a lot of companies, Gartner, other companies, they come out with this yearly research report and surveys. Based on that, they put out this report. So as per the Gartner report, sophistication of phishing attacks will go to increase. And according to them, currently around 37% incidents, security incidents, are due to phishing attacks. And it is followed by network intrusion. The hackers or attackers intrude into your corporate network. So these two are the largest reasons for security threats on attacks. So again, these will continue. Okay. Second trend which are emerging, which is already emerged, which will increase, is that more and more frauds are going to happen, especially with the intention of money. There are two intentions will happen: monetary intention and the data. Ultimately, data is also a money converted into monetized. So straight financial fraud and the data fraud. These are again going to increase in the future. And again, two channels will be: phishing channel, which try to make fraud and data fraud as well as financial fraud. And the second is that a lot of mobile apps, because today mobile apps are becoming popular. Every company, everybody is launching new mobile apps. Through mobile apps, through malicious way, through rogue mobile apps, that kind of channel of attacks will be trending in future. Third, which most of the people are predicting, because of your hybrid working environment, public cloud, most of the companies are adopting public cloud, and everything is today highly connected. Entire supply chain is connected. Due to these three factors, your surface of attack is expanding. So that is very inevitable and very evident. So your expansion of attack surface is increasing due to these factors. So that's why it will keep on increasing. And that traditional approach of monitoring, detection, and response will not be sufficient in future. So that's the trend which is most of the researchers have predicted. Next is that misuse of user credentials, which has already started. Everybody is aware. So either due to negligence of users or the malicious users, the misuse of user credentials, that is going to increase. And normal monitoring is not going to help to protect this kind of situation. So we require much more better identity management and also more better user, and there's a tool called or technology called UEBA, that is user and entity behavior analytics. So to really manage or monitor the behavior of users or various systems in your network, what is their behavior, and based on the behavior analytics, what are the anomalies you see, and then you try to predict what is going to happen. So this kind of sophistication monitoring is required. Already many companies have started or invested in this kind of tool and technologies. Then one of the major incident happened is the last year of SolarWinds, which is an eye-opener. This is called a software supply chain kind of incident. So due to that, a lot of your operating system, networks, those are being affected by the hackers through the software supply chain attacks. So that is also going to increase, another prediction. Okay. So all in all, to combat this kind of sophisticated level of attack, high frequency attack, and very, very well orchestrated attack by not individually, but as a group, as a state. So we need to increase or enhance or change a lot of practices. One is the awareness, what is we are doing today, that level of awareness or kind of awareness we are doing. So that requires changes, culture requires changes, and companies need to put in a lot of practices and technologies to really combat this kind of threats, which will continue in the coming years.
Very precisely put. I think, yes, organizations need to upgrade themselves, all across, and to combat the cyber attacks that are likely to happen in the coming years. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, sir. And I think the interview was very exciting, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching it would love it too. And we would love to collaborate with you again. Thank you for the input.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure, and it was good to have this kind of chat. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.